Good night.
Look, I'm gonna go ahead.
Starting the recording now for you, Judge.
I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We're gonna have the invocation by Brother Joe Miller.
Please bow your heads with me. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. It's an important day. It's an important day because, well, you created it and made it for us, but we're here to do your work. We are a secular organization, but our goal is to do the best we can for the people of Newton County, and I think that's the goal that everybody has. And that's that you guide and direct us in that, and it may be pleasing to you, but at the same time, help our people flourish. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Glory to God.
We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum here. I'd like to acknowledge and welcome all of our guests here to the Commissioners Court meeting. I'm gonna open it up to a public hearing. You wanted to speak?
I'd like to address you and also Mr. White. Okay, my name is Janie Phillips. I live on County Road 1022. If you were to go back toward Jasper, I live about maybe a mile and a half or mile and 3/4 down that road. I have promised White in the last 4 years, several times, to address our road. I have pictures that I made of the last week of our road, how bad it was. I've already lost 2 of the coverings off of my tires. And it's a fourth expedition, those things cost me because of the potholes that have been in that road for quite some time. He took, I know, the money and got on the other end of County Road 1022, and he fixed that last year with us asking him several times to fix ours. My son's funeral or memorial service was at my house over a year ago, just a little over a year ago. I had called Mr. White because you couldn't get on the road. We were having about 100 people come, and it was embarrassing. There was mud all over the road. You couldn't get through it because of the loggers. We had a paved road at one time, but the potholes are so bad, it tears our vehicles up. Mr. White, I have pictures, and he is not supposed to go on private land. Where he went to A.W. Davis's house. I have the private thing, I have pictures, and he put down gravel in different places. I guess his son or daughter, whoever's seen it. He did the same day, put some gravel over the culverts only. Okay, that's it. And it's already beginning to wash out again, because if the road's not prepared in the way it should be, and I lived with a man that was in business for himself for 40 years. And he was in the construction business. I do know a little bit about it. I'm not totally dumb. I know I am a woman, and sometimes can have a tendency to think, well, she doesn't know what she's talking about. And I probably don't know everything about in some areas. But, you know, we pay taxes on that road down there. My daughter and my son-in-law has just built a new home right back by me. We've lived there. We've lived there ever since. We bought it back in 2012. So we've lived there quite a while. But my issue is if he can spend money on a private road from the county, how come he can't fix our road? And I would like to address that, because the last time I spoke to you about it, you screamed at me so bad. You did. You were in the truck and you had another gentleman with you when I asked you about fixing the road. And you did. I had to roll my window up and drive off. Wow. That was terrible. Terrible. That's the way you addressed it. But I would like to know if he can spend money on the other end of the road. I know that sometimes these things are done by grants. How come our road cannot get fixed?
Okay. Thank you, for your comment. We can't publicly
And want to
address,
see the pictures? I'll be happy.
okay, but we can't publicly address, comment back to you because it's not on the agenda. But,
I called to try to find out exactly how to go around this, and nobody could answer it here at the courthouse. They just kept sending it to a voicemail.
no, our phones, we had internet problems in our phones in the judge's office. I didn't realize that we kept getting calls from the sheriff department, but they were out for a couple of days, or not working properly. Okay, do we have another, public comment? Okay, I want to close the public hearing and, on the consent agenda, minutes from the previous meeting. Approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Got several, but I don't have them submitted yet, but I am working to get y'all all the minutes caught up.
Okay,
So hopefully by the next regular commissioner's court, I will have them all because she needs them also for.
okay. Accept statement of oath, deputation and bonds. Do we have any new oaths? Jerry, I know you had one for one of your deputies.
Yeah, but it was yesterday after Commissioner's court already been posted.
Okay. All right, accept, the monthly departmental reports. Has everybody had a chance to go over the reports? I want to make a motion to accept departmental reports. Well, we've got, Newton County Historical Committee. We've got all the reports from the county extension agent, Newton County Public Library, Newton County Indigent Health Program, Justice of the Peace 1, 2, 3, and 4, County Sheriff, District Clerk, County Treasurer, County Clerk, Criminal District Attorney, Tax Assessor Collector, grants, delinquent tax collections, and the Veterans Office. Need a motion to approve those.
Make that motion for all the ones except main minute, previous minutes.
Motion made by Commissioner White,
I second.
seconded by Commissioner Benson. Item D is continuing education certificates for Ronald Cochran, Leonard Powell Jr., Nikki Wyndham. Motion to approve those.
I'll make that motion.
Rosemary's not here, so we don't have them.
Yeah. I've seen it.
Okay,
Here.
Commissioner White makes a motion.
I make the second.
Second by Commissioner Benson. Okay, first item, we deliberate and consider an action on the following items. The first one, it says, accept and if appropriate approve, and it says Trout Creek Volunteer Fire Department, but it's actually, Emergency Service District Number 2, Newton County, compiled financial statement. Mr. Howard West?
I give y'all all my paperwork.
Yes.
Last year, we ended up with $143,000 to the good. And one of our big things, we bought a brand new truck for our mid-year. Our runs, we made 366 runs last year. 218 of them was medical calls. Yeah. Y'all have any questions on what I give y'all?
I didn't have any questions. I know y'all pretty swamped with medical calls.
Yes, we made 2 today already.
Yes. You know, I did skip some things, made the motions, but we didn't vote. so I need to back up a little bit. I apologize. I'm still a little new to this. So I appreciate the note to whoever sent it over. But on the first item was, we commissioned by, or motion by Mr. White and seconded by Danny Benson. All approved?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the second one to accept the continuing education certifications was motion by Commissioner White, seconded by Commissioner Benson. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. And then we got Howard West Purchase Service District. I need a motion to approve the financial statement.
I make that motion, Judge.
All right. Motion is made by Commissioner Benson,
I second.
second by Commissioner White. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Motion passed. All right, item number 2 is accept Newton County Emergency Services District 2 appointee of fire commissioners of Howard West and Leon Thornton to serve 2-year terms. So,
You gonna be the chief again?
Oh, Leon Thornton's the president of the ESD board.
Oh, he is.
President of the ESD.
I make that motion.
So before we do that, I just remember a discussion. Can you be on the ESD and be a member of the fire department?
Yes,
yeah.
You can do that.
I asked that at one of our meetings to a lawyer. He said this, you can't be the fire chief, can't be the president because you can't present to yourself. I say if I'm the fire chief and I'm on the board, I have to excuse myself whenever they come to buy a truck or, spend money that way. You can be on, I asked that question.
Okay.
But we had one that the fire chief was the president of the board too,
I think
not
we
us, but.
probably need to share that countywide, because I think in precinct 4, that there's interpretation that you can't commingle that. It has to be a standalone board, and
No.
it's not the case.
Actually, you're better off if you have some firemen on it, because they know what you need and where the money's going, what it's being spent on.
Okay.
I agree with that.
That's just my opinion.
Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Benson,
Second.
second by Commissioner White. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Motion passed.
I guess before he gets out of here, just, that just probably out of order, but just wanted to say thank you for all you,
Yes, sir.
that's
Yes.
tremendous. What would we do without our volunteer fire departments countywide? I don't know what we would do.
And Howard's, heard some medical technicians, so you answer many calls a day. It's like KK over here, so we appreciate that.
Thank y'all.
All right, item number 3, Brother Joe, he said he's gonna speak for 15 minutes, but I was told to prepare for longer. But accept the annual report from the Newton Food Share.
Yes, sir. So I do this every year, and I have developed a reputation for talking longer than I say. So I have deliberately, I think I messed you up. Anyway, I have given copies,
There it is.
the PowerPoint and a written report that follows behind. I'm not gonna go over the written report. You read that at your leisure. I am gonna take it, keep within 15 minutes. At 15 minutes, tell me to leave. But if you have comments, you want to talk to me, be glad to show you the food share. Be glad to take you through it, be glad to answer questions, be glad to do anything that you need to do. I should point out, we do have 4 volunteers here who have helped some for many, many years. If you would raise your hand or stand. You go. So appreciate you. This is what makes us go.
Yes.
It isn't me. It's them. They're unbelievable people. Okay, presentation part. We reorganized this past year. We now have a the executive director, Susan Harple, who would be here, but she had something planned for many, many months. She's now the executive director. Now, by the way, that doesn't mean she gets paid anything. Nobody gets paid anything. Well, at least in money. We do see our reward and joy to be able to do what we do, and that's true. I am the board chair. I want to mention Hope's Haven because I haven't mentioned her much. Sherry Gaspar came about, it's been 3 or 4 years. I'm gonna set up a closed, club. That I have experience with closed closets. They never work. They're a lot of work. Everybody gives up after 6 months, and she's been doing 3 or 4 years, and she has made an impact. For school clothes in general, you name it, she does it. Done a great job. Board of directors, you see the list: Eddie Hopkins, Michelle, Dina, James Bean, Thomas Hawthorne, Christy Staley, Emily, and Conley Todd. That's our board of directors. That is relatively recent. That all occurred last year. Now, let's see if I can figure out. There we go. Some details. There are a lot more in the. I gave you the data and everything, but we started in 2004, so we've been here a little over 18 years, which is kind of interesting. We are Southeast Texas Food Bank, Feeding Texas, Feeding America. You see ads from Feeding America. You also see ads from all other kinds of people doing food. I assume they're all good, but I want you to know where ours comes from. And, or at least most of it. A lot of it comes from Brookshire's also. We've moved several times within the old hospital. Funds from various companies, government entities, local churches, grants, individuals, clubs, any place I can raise money. And I have attempted, for the most part, to raise money not locally. Because I know this county is tapped out, has been ever since I've been here. Not a lot of churches have a lot of extra money to do, but that may change in the future. In the last few years, we have a produce hub, and we serve Burkeville, Deweyville, and Von Weir. Say a word about Deweyville. I'm glad to have them come online. I'm very impressed with the person running it. Need to go down this coming Saturday and help them and see what they're doing, and just to be able to share information and what we do.
And Brother Joe, we
Yeah.
appreciate you getting those Deweyville folks involved.
Oh, well, it's food and people.
Yeah.
And I have to concede, mostly Newton County people. It's not that I wouldn't help somebody in Jasper, but this is my area of opportunity. Thank you. Just some data, you got a bunch more there. 195 tons of food this year, which includes the hub and produce. We've been done pretty good on getting produce, but the availability of food has been a problem. We average 270 households per month. Towards the end of the year, it was closer to 300, but that's the average. That represents 609 people, so you can see there are families involved. And we added a generator that was donated to us and is working fine. Added Masa, that's in Deweyville. That's the name of the food pantry down there. We did have an event this year that says events, Christmas Eve, great flood. And I guess it just, when everybody knew and it's known and known about the building, it's, well, it's there, but hardly. I want to say something about the life skills class. People, if you see this on Facebook anywhere, you'll see all these kids. They're from Newton High School, and they have been a blessing to what we do. And we perceive ourselves as a ministry for them. And I don't know what this summer's going. We're going to be in deep trouble. Some of you all need some more volunteers for the summer. So everybody put that on the calendar. Hope's Haven, and also another program we have. We've had this for a long time. Newton Elementary School. We do a backpack program, so kids have something to eat on the weekend. You may not believe it, but there are kids that go home on Friday. They've had their last meal for the week. So we give them a backpack included, with food. You'll see my forward program. Let me work it. Oh, well, it's a
I don't know where it goes.
You point that direction. Oh, uh-oh, look at there.
I just hit, click it, there you go. We have a potential for opportunities. And that is, we could be doing more food for more people. That's at least my perception, our perception, that it's like, well, okay, we're doing this, but what more can we do? We can have better nutrition, more produce, nutrition instruction. Believe it or not, there are people that do not really know how to cook. They carry their kids to McDonald's or whatever, and it's more expensive and less nutritious. We could do that. We have the talent, and that Southeast Texas Food Bank has the talent. We don't have any place to do it. Groceries, client choice grocery stores. What that means is what a lot of people are doing now is people come in and actually shop. And it's very cool. For one thing, they lift your feelings about yourself. It's like, here's a bag of groceries, hope you like it. It's, from this rack, you get to pick 3 things. Which this shelf, which 3 do you want? Well, I want this one. And they take what they want, and there's less wastage, and people get what they need, and we know what to order, rather than just, I always envision when I open the closet, somebody's pantry, and there'd be 100 bags of rice in there. But, anyway.
That would be in South Louisiana.
Huh?
Yeah. That would be in South Louisiana.
Yeah. Also, groceries for those who have no transportation. We do have people that pick up for other people. That's a well-controlled thing we do. It's qualified and followed by paperwork and all the necessary USDA things, but there's still people missing out. And that worries me. Meals for families. That isn't gonna happen overnight, but we have a nice feed meal system for old people like, well, I don't call any old people personally, but I'm sure there's some around. And I eat there. So, but how about families with small children? Other people do it, some won't. It's very resource intensive. Backpack for middle and high school. There is no reason why it's harder to do because they're more sensitive. They don't want people to know they got free food. But it can be done. Others have done it. We could do it. And that's not dependent so much on a move. That's just something that's on our list that we want to do. Current facilities. Oh, better facilities for the clothes closet. Oh, that is, yeah. Current facilities preclude most of the above. Maybe not backpacks and other things, but it is a real thing. Facilities. Well, I want to bring it up, and I know you were going to bring it up anyway, is rehab the women's dorm. It's cost effective versus new building. Enough room for the future. We've all been out and looked at it. I had the people from Southeast Texas Food Bank come look at it. I don't see why it couldn't work. Gave us some steps we need to go through, and it's a good location. And I have their tentative approval till we get further along. The next steps, and that's why I'm here, obtain agency agreements. Attorney Eddie Hobson, who's a economic development man and from Newton, by the way, played Newton football. And Jasper said, if you want to get money from an agency like Temple Foundation or whatever, everybody has to be in line. You can't have the county government here, you're here, the city government's over there, other agencies, all need agreement. And really, that's the reason for the presentation. Next things we got to do, we got to inspect for asbestos and obtain engineering analysis. To look at heating, cooling, electrical, everything. Although I think everybody's looked at it and said, man, it sure looks good considering it's been sitting there that long. And then obtain, I want to do this. I want to do it with no Newton County money. And I want to do that with a grant. It may be, okay, we're given a building, that's a donation in kind, it's worth X number of dollars. We put in hundreds and hundreds of hours of labor, that's donation in kind. And that's my intent. My whole intent, if Newton County needs a lot. Needs jobs, needs food, needs places to live. And, one way to do that, even though a business would be better and bring in some big money, this brings in a little bit, helps feed people so those people can work at least and go to school without being hungry. That's the intent. So I see Nate says structural. I couldn't think of the right word. This is really related to us. It is the mechanical structure, but us as well. Climate choice will require a whole different way of doing things. It takes longer. It's more pleasant. You're not out in the hot sun, but you have people coming through, so it takes longer. You have to be open more. At least others are. And we need a steady stream of funds for sustainability. I spend time raising money here, raising money here. By the way, pass the hat while I do. This is the always like pass. Anyway, I'm gonna need to do more of that and get some funds coming in to support what we're gonna do. And down the road, if a lot of this, and by the way, this is not overnight. The first thing is to get there and do what we're doing now, but in a much better environment and so on. But down the road, we're gonna have to have some paid staff, which I always said when I first started, if anybody ever got paid, I'd quit. And that's probably still true. But if you're gonna have an operation that's open a lot more, doing a lot more stuff and everything, I mean, you volunteer cook, I don't think that worked very well. But anyway, that's our intent. So, request. We accept the judge's offer. I hope that offer, I know the offer is good from him, and so I would like to have a vote that it's okay with everybody. We don't have to have it on paper yet, signed in blood and everything, but say, yeah, we approve, because I want to go get this asbestos, back to get the engineering done, get some money. I'm running out of time. We need approval and support in the initiation and future of the project. Everybody lined up. Everyone's number one objective, I think, is taking care of the least of these. And that's what we're about. Matthew 25, if you want to look that up. And food for the body brings hope. So it's a very basic place to live, clothes to wear, something to eat. We can take care of the clothes and the food, place to live. Well, that's tough. But anyway, that's it. How'd I do?
I didn't really time
You
you.
didn't tell me.
I was gonna tell you had 16 and a half minutes.
Any question? I would like, I think I said I have 4 volunteers here, and this ain't for me. These people have worked hard. Matter of fact, we've been shut down a long time ago, Ben Farm. I'd like a round of applause for them. Thank you all, appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
I'm done.
All right. Need a motion to accept the annual report from the Newton Food Shed.
Make the motion.
All right, need a, motion made by Commissioner Powell, need a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Benson. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? All right, motion's paid. Item number 4 is accept and if appropriate, approve annual racial profiling report from Newton County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Bourbon?
Anywhere?
Right there.
On you.
Always on. Good evening, Judge. Commissioner and general public. I am required by law each year before March, that first week in March, to present a racial profiling report. And this is a systematic reporting of traffic stops and searches of vehicles by race. And to me, I said last year, this report does not say, well, if you have this and you have this, you got that. It doesn't do that. It's just it recoups all the numbers. One of the reasons I have problems with this report because traffic stops, you conducting traffic. And I have conducted a lot of traffic in my days. You don't know, the race of someone driving a vehicle, but most of them got tinted windows anyway. And at night, you can't tell. But if you're working on, traffic, you're gonna be in an area where there's a high volume of traffic and people are moving through. Okay? You stop those cars, like for traffic violations, and, they take these numbers, traffic stops, and the demographics of your county, city, on a regular basis, and see how many percentage. And I'm gonna read you some numbers, then I'm gonna sum it up. During the year of 2022, we had 159 traffic stops. Of those traffic stops, the gender breakdown was females 48. And y'all should have a copy of this. And once I finish, I'm gonna post it on our website. Okay.
I don't have a copy.
So 48 was female, that's 30%. Male was 111, 69.8%. The race or ethnicity, blacks or African American, whichever you prefer, 29, 18.2%. Asian Pacific Islanders, 3, which is 1.9% of the stop. White, 116, account for 73%. Hispanic / Latino is 11, which was 6.9. And Alaska Native American Indian, 0, all the way across. Was race or ethnicity known prior to the stops? Of that 159, only one, and was known prior to the stop, and which is 0.6%, and no, 158, which was 99.4. And going to why we stopped and the reason for the stop, 26, which is 16.4%. That's the violations of the law. Pre-existing knowledge, 6, which is 3.8. Moving traffic violations, 22, which is 13.8. Vehicle traffic violation, 105. So people drive bad here. To sum this up, we are not a traffic engineer. We're a working sheriff's office when it comes to traffic. You can see about the stops. Newton County is pretty wide open, so there's a lot of folks drive past. We have highway patrol out there handling that. So what I have to do as sheriff or the leader of an agency, I find no reason in these numbers to say that we're racially profiled. We do have a complaint process where if you feel that you was wrongfully stopped or whatever, you have a complaint redress process with us. And this will be posted on our website. Any questions?
I have a question. So you mentioned these numbers, percentages for these numbers. How do they compare to the demographics of the county?
Well, I just gave you the percentage of the race and ethnicity. And see if it's in there.
I guess the reason I would ask that is the numbers in themselves they kind of look lopsided. But if you think about the county, they're probably right in alignment with the county's numbers.
Well, that's what I said in the beginning. The numbers, you really can't get a good comparison because a lot of folks who get stopped are not from here. They're passing through. And that's always the process. This whole program was started in New Jersey years and years ago. When the state troopers were stopping people on their interstate up there. I don't know the number of it, whatever. But in that area in New Jersey, it was predominantly black. Okay? And the numbers worked out where it looked like it was stopping a lot of black folks, but that's a major interstate. You know, and that's how this program came about.
Yeah.
National Institute of Justice put this thing out. And ever since I've been in law enforcement, in charge of a law enforcement agency, which is now 20 years, it just can't narrow it down and say, this is what's happening. You just have to go with your complaints and everything, and you as the head of the agency, having a posted on what's going on. Because we don't know who's driving what at any particular time. It is what it is. Yeah. But just to be on fire, and you can look at this and look at the demographics of our county. Okay.
Thank you, Sheriff Irby. I need a motion to approve this annual racial profiling report.
Make that motion.
Motion made by Commissioner White,
I second.
second by Commissioner Powell. All in favor? All against? The motion's passed. All right, item number 5 is discuss and if appropriate, approve and accept the lease purchase of 2 new vehicles for the sheriff's department. That's Sheriff Irby again.
And thank you, sir. Is Courtney, the DA on here?
I think she's in district
That's
court.
right. Yeah. Anyway, this is, I'm going when I leave here.
Okay.
We we ordered 2 vehicles, F-150, from Silsby. And, this is, they're on the buy board. And I'm gonna break this down. Last year's, vehicles, the cost went up. It went up about $8,000. The vehicles now are $35,395. That's basic number. That's nothing, that's not any equipment. Okay. The equipment, with rigging, comes out to be about, 12,780. Okay, for 2 vehicles, we have a bottom line of 118,607.46. And
You said 118 what?
118,607.46. And you have a copy here? You don't have a copy?
I'll have it with you.
Okay. All right. We're looking to do a lease agreement with American National Leasing Company. And it is for 59 with 25,000 for each vehicle as down payment. We will take the remaining cost on the lease purchase agreement. So with $50,000 down, that's $25,506 for each vehicle, and with the rigging cost. Okay. We're looking to have the total after our 50,000 with 25 each vehicle. Our first payment will be in 2024. It'd be 25,000. Second payment 2025 be 25,506. Remaining will be 2026, 25,506. That's remaining of the cost of the vehicle. Our budget for this year, for last year, and this is last year's budget, is 63,000. And this year is going to be 63,000.
He gets 63,000 a year. Actually, he gave up, what was it, a car last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, help the budget out. We just carried his 63,000 over to this year.
I must have wrote it down wrong because what I come up with is 150,000 total cost.
118.
118.
118, I must have added some extra.
Yeah, it's
118 total.
yes. 118,607.46. And he did have money to carry over.
So if we pay the 50,000 plus 25 for the next 3 years, so we're looking at 125,000, which if it's 118, that's really not a lot of interest over a 4-year term, the two vehicles.
Already get there.
It's, two right
I'm
now.
sorry, it's 3-year term.
It's two right now. We got two being numbers on the ground. One on the ground, one is coming shortly. The third one kind of up in limbo.
Yeah, I know you sent the two VIN numbers out of that.
Yeah,
But all this is in your budget, right?
Yes, it's all in his budget. He actually has all of it in his budget. It's just we had to carry 63,000 over from 2022 over it because he didn't get his cars last year.
yeah. They had a
He had
chip problem.
63,000 this year, so he's got all that.
And I've leased vehicles before, when I was a chief for the first time. And, that was the way to go. It was a small, I was able to lease.
Well, on the lease purchase, do you get to keep the
Yeah,
vehicle?
yeah.
Okay,
That's the same way we do on the commissioner's trucks. We do
okay.
3 payments. A payment not due, we bought their trucks in 2021. Their first payment was due in 2022, 23, 24. One
Okay,
payment a year.
And we're in a position to have our vehicles, got a couple vehicles getting blazed, but we're in a good position to keep our inventory pretty fresh. You know, with adding 1 or 2 a year, everything, and with them, if they went up this much in a year, I can imagine what they're gonna be next year.
Oh.
Insurance prices.
I can see the deputies needing, we're shorthanded on deputies, there's a deputy needing assistance in Douville. You got one coming from Burkeville, he's gonna have to push, so you need something, you need
Yeah, they
a
get a lot of
state
help.
vehicle.
And that's one, highway mileage is better on vehicles, you all know, than just riding around, town. But they are highway mileage and we stay pretty good. We don't have a lot of vehicle problems, engine problems, that is. I guess because we blow them out.
Well, the judge and I were
I
talking
think you got
yesterday.
good roads.
The judge and I were talking yesterday. What is your top miles on your truck? I mean, how, before you take them out of service over there?
Well, the target is 100,000.
That's what I told you yesterday.
That's a good target anywhere, from a vehicle that's being used every day. After 100,000, we try to take them out of service or get them where they're not being utilized. Not being utilized that much, because what we'll do is we'll take a high mileage truck and give it to a supervisor who don't have as much, driving distance as, one of the deputies. And that's in a way that we keep our vehicles fresh. Yeah.
Well, does anybody have any questions on that? Well, need a motion to accept the lease purchase agreement?
I'll make that motion. Up to
Motion made by Commissioner Powell,
a second.
second by Commissioner White, all in favor? All against? Motion passed. Discussing if appropriate pay Courtney Mansell for 10 days of holiday pay that she has been unable to take because of sheriff's office being shorthanded. And it's got the holiday dates of 7/4, 9/5, 10/10, 10/11/11, 11/24, and 25th, 12/23, and 26, 12/30. And
Okay, let me, sort of give you some background on this. We currently in that position, we have, 8 dispatchers. We do have 8 dispatchers. But, the requirement is to have trained dispatchers on shift. Okay, so we have 4 shifts and we have 4 trained dispatchers. We can't, the new people who are in training, they can't be on shift by themselves. Okay, so that, they take, necessitated in her having to fill in. Okay, on trying to get a couple, dispatchers certified in the next, month or two. As you all know, that we have, they're double bill, they're cross utilized. Instead of having, 8 or 9, jailers, we got 8 or 9 dispatchers / jailers. So Newton County is really gaining from that already. But because of the standards that we have to have a certified dispatcher, on staff at work at any given time. So that's why she was able, to have to come in and fill in. So we want to get her books cleaned on that. And going forward, these dispatchers we have hired get certified when we have them. We'll be able to bleed their time off, in an appropriate manner.
So they have to be dispatchers and jailer certified
Yes.
before they can work by themselves.
Yeah.
I understand.
So I have a question about this line item. So the money to pay this employee, which should be paid, I'm not debating it. Where does that money come from? Does it come out of Sheriff Burby's budget or does it come out of a general fund?
Come out of his budget.
So another question,
But all of it, just keep in mind that all the sheriff's office and the jail are both funded by the general fund. So if he gets at the end, towards the end of the year and he's had to pay out comp time and holiday pay, and he's had to spend $10,000, then he's gonna have to come to the court or come to me and say, hey, I'm gonna have to have a budget amendment because I don't have enough money to make it to the end of the year. Then we have to come to the judge, to the commissioner's court, and ask the commissioners to do a budget amendment for him, finish out his year.
It won't happen.
He doesn't, yeah, he's understaffed,
yeah, so he's understaffed, so that's not a problem for this
but in
department.
other departments, it is a problem.
That's where I'm going with this. So, I think this is a good example that this is a big issue. We just paid out almost $10,000 to employees that left the county that wasn't budgeted. And we did that because we don't pay overtime. And I know that's a word people don't like to hear, but I'm gonna just say it now today. That's something we need to start thinking about now. Get ready to budget. We need to start paying overtime and do away with this comp time so we don't have impacts. If Sheriff Burby had a good tight budget with a full crew that he had really got down to the fine line on and something like this happened, then it would impact the budget. Anyway.
If fine crew like that wouldn't be no comp time.
No, he's where he needs to be on the jailers. He's at 8. That's what he's budgeted for. He's only not paying, he's not hitting the general fund with unexpected expenses because he don't have 13 patrol officers. He's got 8. Is that right, Sheriff Burby?
Yeah,
His people are working around the clock.
Yeah, but if they was all certified, he wouldn't need nobody in there.
Right. Yeah, we have that set up when they get certified, they'll be able to take their time like they, should. This was filling, this was filling gaps. But when you only have 4 people that were certified.
Yeah.
And you got 4 shifts, two shifts a day.
Yeah, it takes,
Hey, life, if everybody never got sick, never had to take off, then it would be fine. And that would be the same good for every, any organization. But that's just not the case, the way it's set up because of their shift schedule, they get a lot of time, they get time off because of the shift where it's set up. And it's just when you have those holes, that's when we have a problem, we don't have certified fellows.
I guess my point is sheriff department, whatever the business is, you're gonna have a percentage of unexpected absences. And you need to factor that into your budget, whether it's 12, 15, 20%, you're gonna have those costs. But I'll make the motion to approve these payments. He's got the money in his budget, and she's earned that money, in my opinion.
Motion made by Commissioner Powell,
Second.
second by Commissioner Benson. All in favor? All against? Motion passed.
I think that's all I have.
Yes, sir. I think you can go to court now. All right. Item number 7, update of grants being administered by Trevor and Associates. That's Mark.
Afternoon, Judge. Commissioners. We requested to be placed on the agenda. Historically, we have given monthly updates to Commissioners Court on the grant status. We do realize y'all have a very long agenda today. I'll try to make it as quickly as I can, but at the same time, I want to answer any questions any of you may have. I'd like to preface it with the fact that on the monthly Commissioners Court, usually in conjunction with that, we have a meeting with the General Land Office where we discuss the grants with the General Land Office that are currently being funded in Newton County. We did have that meeting this morning. 2 of the commissioners sat in on that meeting. So some of this might be kind of a rerun for y'all, but once again, I'm going to go over this kind of hurriedly. Don't mean to rush it. Once again, I know y'all's time is very valuable. Also, these particular grants that involve engineering, Mr. Oates with Goodwin Laster is here, so I'm sure he'd be willing to provide any additional input that anybody might need on any of these specific grants. All right, so we'll start at the top. The Harvey HMGP grants. Now, this is in conjunction with disaster 4332. We submitted 5 applications on that particular grant. Precinct 1, Precinct 2, Precinct 4 are currently in various stages of play. Precinct 3, both projects that were submitted on that are closed out currently. Precinct 1, we're pending rebid on that project. One thing I do want to throw out real quick, y'all have probably seen these numbers before. Precinct 1, Precinct 2, Precinct 4, the numbers that are here are the phase 2 numbers. This is not the total grant numbers. With that being said, these 3 grants are phase 1 and phase 2, where phase 1 is the design of the project itself. And at that point in time, then it goes back to FEMA, goes up to, and then they bless the design and we move into the phase 2. But these numbers that are currently listed here are the phase 2 numbers on these projects.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
So I know on this 3132 and 3142, it went from $500,000 to $1,080,000.
That's correct.
So the match on that's 25%.
Right.
So we could be approaching a point to where, I mean, when you jump $500,000 on a 25% grant with the budgets we have, you get to the point where you say, wait a minute, I don't know that I can afford to.
Sure.
You know.
Bet. And that's something for the commissioners to look at. And once again, these are the revised match numbers on here as well. Now, this particular disaster, this falls under Senate Bill 7. And basically what Senate Bill 7 says is that, yes, these HMGP grants were a 75-25 split with a 25% match. But then they're going to come back. Hopefully, it's the intention they will refund 15% of that 25% match, bringing it down to a 10% match. That was under Texas Senate Bill 7 that was passed a couple of years back. If you'd like to go in and pull that up, or we can forward that information to you as well.
But that could be, I mean, that could be an extended time period before we get that additional 15% back.
Yes, sir, it could.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna have some money hanging out there for a while. And it's definitely something to consider. The projects that have not been bid, there again, it's something to consider on those, to discuss with myself, Mr. Oates, and see if you want to proceed, full force, or if you want to cut the scope of the project back.
Yeah. Okay, maybe a meeting to discuss, how far do we go? Is this 6 inches of rock? Can you go less? Or is there a standard that says, no, you got to go 8 inches of rock or nothing?
Right.
That may be something we need to have a discussion about.
Sure. And in your specific situation, maybe what is the overall scope of the projects? I don't know that we've sat down with you and said,
We have,
this is what's been designed for this specific roads.
Pat offered that, we just haven't had the opportunity to do it, so.
All right, so on the TDM, any additional questions? And I appreciate you raising those questions.
You started out, going down the list, you started with precinct 1 and then you dropped off at 2 there, says pending.
Yeah, they're again on precinct 2 and all 3 of these, and if y'all will recall, I think I discussed it with y'all. We kind of saw these were dragging out. We saw what was happening due to the economy and the budget and the process. In discussing with TDM, they said there is no money in the pot. If we get any, it'll be on a first come, first served basis. I got with Mr. Oates, we got back with TDM and we said we want to double the budget on each of these projects. It kind of came as a surprise to us, but they let us know a few weeks back that they did have funds and they are going to come back and increase the budgets on each of these projects. Mr. White, your specific project, there again, your construction costs, construction and engineering has now gone up to $76,830 total, with a little over 19,000 of that big local match. And that is the project that we discussed you utilizing force account labor.
Yep.
And so we're ready to move forward on that whenever we can get that scheduled and on the books to move forward. Precinct 4, we are awaiting their final approval of the phase 2. And I know we're trying to set up a meeting with FEMA to discuss that. And they did come back. I don't know if you've seen it last week. And wanted to know what all we would like to discuss in conjunction with that as we move forward to trying to set a date on that. And I'll coordinate with you on that as well.
Okay. I think Crystal sent that to me, mistaken, but yeah.
All right, on the CDBG grant, once again, this is a grant that the county received a couple of years back. There was work done in all 4 precincts. We are in the process of closing that contract out. We got just a little bit of paperwork. We got to get the judge all lined up on his being able to get into the system and sign off on our final paperwork, and we should be through with that contract. 2016 housing contract, that particular grant, we do have currently 4 homeowners in play on that. One of them, we are hoping, we got our fingers crossed, within the next few days, General Land Office will process the payment request for the funding for that particular homeowner. We've got 3 other homeowners we're working with. One we have submitted the offer to back in December. They have not responded to us at this point in time. One of the members did have some health issues, was in the hospital. We did reach back out to them recently and we're hoping to get a response from them within the next couple of days. If not, we're going to have to deny that particular application and move forward. The next thing down here is the Harvey infrastructure projects, the B279. Those, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. Next thing down here is the 2016 infrastructure project. This is the one that we're talking about, the phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 on these projects are complete. We were able to take some of the housing money, move it over into infrastructure, and now we're moving forward with the phase 2 on these projects. Mr. Oates is currently in design work on those. And Pat, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're thinking within the next 30 days, the design will be completed. Yes. This is the grant that we do have a tight time frame on. This is the grant that we need to be completed in August. I have been discussing this with the General Land Office, had another discussion with them today on this. And we are going to be looking at, as far as an extension and potentially requesting an extension on that. And we can talk about that a little farther in conjunction with some bids that we've recently received. My concern is we go out for bids, we put a tight time frame on this contractor. Either they're going to say we can't bid it or the price just going to shoot out the roof on it. So we are discussing with the General Land Office as far as extension on that contract currently.
And what was the match on that?
There is no match on that.
Well, we want those projects.
If we can get,
Definitely so.
They gotta be finished by August 31st.
We want those projects.
All right, the next thing down is the Harvey infrastructure. There again, that's to the General Land Office, TC 274. Those projects are all complete, pending closeout, and there was no match on those projects. Next thing down is the Harvey buyout contracts. We'll be talking about that a little bit more later, but that is currently underway. We have 22 applications that we're currently processing in conjunction with that grant. The next one is the 21-22 Community Development Block Grant, and I need to change that from application. That was submitted with Texas Department of Agriculture. That is being funded, and we're pending contract execution on that at this point in time. And then at the bottom of the page, we've got the Harvey 2016 MIT, our mitigation contract, B220. That particular contract, bids were opened this past Tuesday, February the 14th on that. Pat, would you like to elaborate a little bit on that, kind of what we're looking at this point in time?
Yeah, we've received bids, on these projects that are on that list. Bids were excessively out of money. We had, according to CIVCAST, we had 32 contractors looking at it. We had 2 total bids, one for precinct 1, one for precinct 2, and no bids on precinct 3. In talking to the contractors that did not bid it that normally would, a lot of their issues right now is they're short on workers and getting workers. So they're having to hold back on just how much work they're gonna bid. Of course, material prices continue to rise. So what we're gonna do, or what we're recommending we do, and we talked to the GLO about this morning, is we're gonna go back, and I think y'all all got an email from Nick Helsher, one of my partners, to take a look at your projects in precincts 1 through 3 and give us sort of a priority on each one of the roads that were originally applied for. And we're gonna go back and take a look at our costs and the general scope of work to try to minimize cost as much as possible before these things go back out to bid again. And we'll be getting back with the county probably within about the next 2 to 3 weeks and go over what we're gonna recommend that you do. And at this point, I don't really have too much of an idea as to what costs are gonna do, say, 6 months out. It's really hard to tell. I know in some cases, costs have gone up in the last year on some of those construction materials. They've gone up anywhere from 40 to 80%. Really large increase. These projects, if you'll recall, were mainly bridges and drainage structures like box culverts. There's a few things we can change about what we specify, try to bring the cost down a little bit. What we specified on the bridges primarily were what we call I-girders, which y'all seen before. You know, they're those pre-stressed I-beam concrete. That's the most standard beam for a TxDOT compliant bridge that's available. However, they make slat beams and box beams that possibly can be purchased by the contractor at a little lesser cost. So we may do that as a part of it. We wanted to stay with something that was readily available, so the project could get done quicker. And sometimes the I-beams and the slat beams are about the same price. I think right now the slat beams are a little less. So we'll be going back out on the street on that. What surprised me about the bid opening was primarily the lack of interest from contractors. And talking to them, those factors on personnel, lack of personnel, having trouble with concrete subs and increasing prices. It's really a big problem in all this. But we're gonna get back with the county on that after we've gone back and prioritized it with each commissioner before we go out for bids again. Mark talked about phase 2. And those plans will be done in about 30 days. And we'll get with the court and with each commissioner and go over those before we ever try to bid those out. Mark, you were about up the 2022 bid. And that's the project we'll be talking about, a new community center stadium.
Hey, Pat, before you leave that, you talked a lot about resources, and we all know that there's only a certain group of people out there that do this type of work, and it's resource lenders. So we've got a lot of projects right here, and every one of them's got a priority ranking. Is there going to be a point where we sit down in a workshop and say, hey, look, instead of going out there and putting all of our resources on this drainage effort, because it was a good opportunity for the county, but it may not be a priority overall. If we've got 10 roads, we'd rather have worked over 6 culverts or something. Do we need to do that to make sure that we're not choking our contractors down to where they're not focused on what the court thinks is a priority?
Well, these projects, just kind of as a refresher, these projects were funded as part of an overall drainage plan, which was part of the scoring criteria for you to get the funds. And what we have to do now is take a look at the projects, and if there's any that we either drop off or we modify, we've got to make certain that we stay within the criteria of the original application. In other words, we can't take these out and use the funds for something else.
Right, I'm with you on that.
And so what I want to do with all the commissioners' report on all of your projects that have not been bid yet is go through what we recommend you do to still get, let's just say an improvement, or you're still going to end up with a better road than what you had. But I don't want to do something that is really not going to improve the road just only because of cost. I want to do something that's going to improve the roads, and we're having to take a look at that. And I'm not saying that we're necessarily going to drop off, critical things. If you need the road to be paved, then we need to pave it. But there may be different ways of looking at these as far as just how much do we do to the road bed before we pave, things like that. So that's kind of where I'm heading. I told the lady at GLO this morning, I've been doing this about 38 years, and I can pretty much count on 2 hands how many projects I've had 38 years that weren't in the money. And in the last year or so, I'd say better than 30% of the projects have been out of the money. That's how much prices are rising, and they're rising quickly. The material suppliers that I talked to on Tuesday after the bid opening, they've had in the last year, since last January, out of 12 months, they've had 8 price increases, almost a price increase every month. So that's kind of the circumstances that we've all been dealt, and we just have to come up with a way to work.
Yeah, Pat, to answer, I guess your question around the priorities, Pat and Mark they've been doing well. We've had multiple projects, across all the 4 precincts prior to now. And what he does is get different contractors or do whatever it takes, but we don't cut off projects due just because of deadlines or whatnot. And that was one of the things Mark mentioned, is that he's working closely with GLO, trying to get a deadline on the August one, because he don't want to put that stipulation on the contractor. And that's one of the things that deters the people that are interested, the contractors that are interested, is that narrow deadline. Because if you're sitting there with 14 jobs and most of them you're making big money on, you got a little old Newton County come over here and want to put a deadline on it, you're gonna say, well, we'll do it instead of 1 million, we'll offer you a 2 million bid, and if you want it, well, we'll take that extra million, you know, if that mean that much to you, you know, it's that kind of thing.
The bids we got on Tuesday, for example, more so precinct 1 than precinct 2, because each one of them is a different bidder. They only had 2 bidders. The one thing we gleaned after talking to the bidders, both of the people that bid were very busy right now. Both of the people are short on personnel. And to some degree, their bid reflects what they would have to do if they did get the job and the additional personnel they would have to pay, the more funds to get. So.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just think a workshop, you know, there's three members in
Good
the,
idea, let's do it.
there's 3 members in this court that have seen this for probably a couple of years now, or some, and there's 2 members that are kind of looking at it. And I know what we have down there because we've studied it, but I don't have a clue. And I just think since there's limited resources out there, we should probably align ourselves to say, those are the priorities if we have limited resources.
Well, this was the first bid opening I've had in 10 years easy. Or what I call, if you want to call them, the usual players that did this type of work, none of them did. And we're talking people that are less than an hour and a half or so from Newton, an hour and a half or less from Newton. One thing that does not help us, I don't think, and that's one of the things that made me anxious before the bid opening, is your only asphalt supplier just got bought out or just bought out.
Yeah.
Another asphalt supplier to the north. And now you've only got one asphalt supplier between Beaumont and Center. And they're now going in the direction that I was afraid they were going to go. And that is, and then 2 days before they bid it, they decided they weren't going to bid the county's work on this one. It's the only time I ever know that particular company, or at least the ancestors of that company, they did everything in the county in those days. So it's pretty unusual.
All right, moving on the last page that I provided y'all at the top up there. There again, this is General Land Office project. This is the regional mitigation application. It was submitted in November. They did come back a couple of weeks ago requesting additional information. We provided that information to them on February the 10th. And they said it'll probably be at least another 30 days before we hear anything back from them at this point in time. Kind of like Pat talked about the labor market, General Land Office is experiencing the same thing everybody else is. They're short on staff as well. So they're running way behind on what they're doing as well. Last thing we have on here is some TDM, or Texas Division of Emergency Management. I apologize. We use a lot of acronyms, but that's some applications that we have submitted on behalf of the county. One is for the safe room. That is currently pending TDM review. We submitted an application for a generator for the disaster communications billboard out here. We have heard back from FEMA on that particular application. They said that they do not consider that a critical facility. Therefore, they are not authorizing to go forward with that specific application at this point in time. But prior to submitting that application, we submitted it to Texas Division of Emergency Management. They were basically of the opinion that it was a good application, that encouraged us to go forward with it. But once again, they pushed it up to FEMA for second level review. FEMA said, no, we're going to kick this one back down at this point in time. The third application in there is an application for a generator for the Mauriceville SUD. That application has gone up to FEMA. It is under review at this point in time. And it's our hopes and intentions that that application will go forward. We have nothing to make it believe otherwise at this point in time.
And there's no problem. Bud is actually doing the match on that, correct?
Yes, sir, they are.
And I guess there's no problem with a group outside of Newton County providing match funds for Newton County's grant. Just a question. When you told me that, I got thinking, it's in Newton County. It's Mudd's equipment. Its purpose is supplying their equipment with power, but they're paying for it for us. I just don't know. Just a question. I mean, I love it, but
Yeah, as far as this side, there is not an issue with it. There again, the beneficiaries of the project are in Newton County as well.
yeah. That may be something Courtney can help us with, Judge, just to, or Crystal, whomever, somebody, just to make sure we're good there.
What is that for the sewer plant?
Yes, it's utility district, water, sewer. It's in the Gist and Old Camping area. I mean, we'll go forward, if we got to, we'll do it. 10 cents on the dollar, I think, and it's,
There is a memorandum of understanding in place on that with them currently. Cover the match on that.
right.
I only have one question on the East Newton water supply.
Yes, sir.
The county put the grant in for the water supply, but those funds will be used, it's my understanding, for the city to put a water line out to the tie-in Liberty community.
Actually, it will be for the water system in Liberty, increasing the size of some of those existing lines out there.
Okay. So it is for water lines increasing.
Yes.
Okay.
Increasing the existing water lines to some of the folks in that community.
Okay. Does anybody have any more questions? Okay. I need a motion to approve. I don't know if we really need to approve anything on it. Just an update. All right.
Appreciate
Well, thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, got you up for the next one is discuss and possible action on extending the intake deadline for the Harvey buyout applications in conjunction with grant 20-066-015.
Yes, sir, Judge. Once again, this is the Harvey buyout grant through the General Land Office. Just without boring y'all too much, you're going to hear a lot about what's referred to as a method of distribution. And that basically determines how these grant funds, when they come down, at what point in level are they distributed and how are they distributed? The 2016 grant, if you recall, we did go back, we requested some of those funds to be moved from housing to infrastructure. That's because the method of distribution was established by Newton County in this room. They said, this is how we're going to divide this money up. That choice was made by the county itself. This particular grant, and once again, we talked about the Harvey infrastructure grant that we're currently closing out. Those funds came down basically the same time, but the determination of the division of those funds were made in Austin, not in Newton County. Not in Newton County, not at the COG level, but in Austin. That particular grant, there's a lot of money in that buyout program. Once again, we talked about we're currently working with 22 homeowners. Just after 20 whatever years of working with homeowners, you're going to have some drop out. You're going to have some back out for whatever reason. It's just part of the program. If we served all 22 homeowners, we're still going to have grant dollars left over. The county cannot do anything else with those grant dollars. If we don't utilize all those dollars, they will go back to the state level to be reallocated for housing activities in other areas. So the question has been raised if the county would like to reopen this particular application for the buyout program. And that's why we requested it to be placed on the agenda for discussion by Commissioners Court.
Okay, so you've already had a couple of deadlines for people to sign up for the buyouts, right?
Yes, sir. Our initial contract, and I don't think Crystal's on there. If I'm not mistaken, we were open for 6 months. We accepted applications for 6 months. We did come back before the Commissioners Court. We had been told that there were some people interested in applying that were not aware initially. We reopened the application cycle. I believe it was the 1st of November.
Yes.
We went through the end of December on that application cycle.
Also increase the amount of the buyout, right?
Yes, sir. That was increased for both 2016.
Did you get any applications?
No, sir, we did not get any applications. Now, there again, as far as publicizing it, we did utilize the billboard out here. We put it in the paper. We put up flyers throughout the county. And I think your office assisted with some of those, as well as the other commissioners placing it up around their area.
So I want to talk about that a little bit. So I'll just, in the south end of the county, you know, there is a discussion of, well, you know, the buyout program hurts the county because you kill your tax base.
That's what.
We've heard that. But what I've seen is most folks relocate in the county. They actually build better, nicer homes with a higher tax base. The Sandy Oaks edition, they're building there. And when we talk about the November, the opportunity to up, I was coming to the commissioners court meetings during that time, and I completely missed that. I'm not signing up or anything, but I mean, I didn't know about it. So I'm of the opinion, based on what I've seen and because of the low-lying areas in precinct 4, I would really like to see this open back up. I think there may be some people that sell out and leave the county, unfortunately, but I think there's more that sell out, move to a better piece of ground and build a nicer home within the county. That's just my opinion. I don't have any data to base that on, but I do know that, and I'll ask Judge Ashmore if it's okay. Did you know that it was extended? Was it publicized in precinct 4 to your knowledge?
I remember it being December, but I could have said as well.
So
I do remember it being extended, but it may not have made it to do it, Bill.
Yeah.
I might interrupt, but times before I was always getting a notice and posted it like post office and things like that. And if you remember that, and I don't remember doing that since we had that 7-day window back in 17, I think, but anyway.
Well, how long would you want to extend it for?
That's the pleasure of the commissioners court, Judge. Once again, we work for the county. We're gonna get out there and hustle and do what we can. If it's 7 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, that's commissioners court.
Well, in my opinion, if we, you know, and I really don't like to buyouts, but, you know, because of the tax base, but if somebody wants to move off, you know, out of the flood area, if we extend it for, say, another 60 days and publicize it heavily in the South County, you know, we may get a couple of applications, you know, a couple more.
Now, I do know of some who did the application, they did accept the application, but as far as extending the deadline, I mean, Christie with that, and she didn't not take their application, she took their application, and I'm not sure what program that was, but
If Christie took her application, then it was probably under this. And once again, we've got 22 that were currently processing.
right, it could have been that, but as far as asking to advertise for an extension on that or letting people know that there was still an option for them out there, I don't recall that. But like I said, we can advertise like we've always done before, put on the social media pages that everyone's a member of, put it at the post office, that worked really well. The little stores that are frequented, we put them at the senior center as well. They spread the word too.
So is there a cost? We'll talk about the Harvey, because if we're discussing whether we should extend it or reopen it, I guess is the right thing, right? We're talking about reopening.
Right.
Is there a cost to the county, or is the only cost potentially losing tax base?
As far as our reopening the application cycle, no, sir, there's no cost to the county for that.
But if people sign up, say we reopen it and say 10 people sign up, and those 10 people cost us $2 million. Of that $2 million buyout money, does the county have to put any of it up?
No. No, there's no maximum.
So the potential for loss is tax base only.
I would say, yes, sir, that's correct.
My question, do we have to pay it up front?
I'm sorry?
Say we gonna buy them out, is this that program that the county buys it, then we get reimbursed?
No, sir.
We don't want to do that.
We don't have it to do. No.
Now, this is the program that we go through. Once the homeowner meets all the eligibility criteria, we submit that to the general land office. They review it. They either approve or disapprove the homeowner at that point in time. If they approve them at that point in time, then we go out, we get a survey done of the property, we get an appraisal done on the property. We go back to the homeowner, offer them the appraised value, and at that point in time, they elect to go forward or not go forward. If they do go forward, then we get in touch with the title company, we set everything up. Then we reach out to the general office and say, Ms. Benson wants to be bought out. Here's the packet. Here's where they signed off saying they're willing to accept the offer that's been provided to them. At that point in time, they will front the money for the closing cost on that particular parcel of property.
What about the survey? Who pays for it?
That is usually footed by the county up front, and then they are reimbursed at closing for the survey.
You know, we've got a property, just sitting here thinking about it, we got a property on 4191. Looked at it the other day. Very nice home. Gentleman flooded in 16, he flooded again in Harvey, and he left. And the lights are on in the house and there's been no one in it in years. Man, the light bill, I mean, it's just.
So I'm open to, and I'll make a motion to extend it for another 60 days.
So this is not gonna hinder us from, this is, on this one, the, money that's not utilized, it goes back to state, right?
Yes, sir.
This can't, none of this
Right.
can't be.
Right, the county cannot utilize the money in any other area because once again, it was designated at the state level
Yeah.
for housing buyout activities. So if it can't be utilized for that, you can't say, well, we sure could use it for infrastructure. It has to go to the state to be reprogrammed for housing buyout in other areas.
You know, what's not used. Maybe later on, we could get rid of it somewhere else.
Which would think it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second, we don't have anything that is going to
Lose the survey.
profit survey.
So motion was made by Judge Cochran, seconded by Commissioner White. All in favor? All against? Motion passed.
Clarification, are y'all okay with us opening it up the 1st of March for a 60-day time period?
Yes.
Thank you.
You ain't done yet.
All right, item number 9 is review of ARPA funding and acknowledgement of line item, the obligation of funds not utilized. And, it says see item number 14, but, so I guess we'll include these two on there by jumping around. Number 14 is approved expenditure of ARPA funds not to exceed $79,000. So we'll go with the first one. Mark, review the ARPA funding and acknowledge the obligation of funds not utilized.
Yes, sir, Judge. Y'all will kind of bear with me. This is an old country boy spreadsheet, so it might not make a whole lot of sense, but I tried to get it in a fashion that made the most sense to me. Over on the left-hand side, you'll see some numbers. Those are the requests for funding that have came before Commissioners Court, and Commissioners Court has authorized to utilize ARPA funds for. If you will look at each of these, you will see the amount, which was customarily written as a not to exceed amount. We've moved forward with several of these projects. A lot of these line items are at this point in time complete or closed out as far as the line items. There is a balance of funds in that particular line item that was approved. Once again, this particular sheet is just one that I utilize to help keep track of things. And I've been working with Sherry and Crystal on this, as well as with the judge, keeping them updated on the status of this particular grant program and the funds that were there. So what I'm presenting to you today is basically just recognizing the specific requests that have been presented to y'all and the dollars that are not being utilized for particular things that will roll around and be reutilized, some of which funds have already been reobligated by the county, but this is just officially recognizing it. If you will, Newton County payroll, you see as item number 2. The request was for 300,000. All of those funds were utilized. The third one down might be a little confusing for you. This was the Newton County Nutrition Services Center, where you allocated $100,000. That particular line item, the $100,000 is still being utilized. What hadn't been utilized at this point in time. None of it is being deobligated, but these expenses are being paid either through the county's standard payments every month or through the county's payroll account. So they're being recognized in other areas. So we're acknowledging it here. We're keeping track of these dollars, but we're saying, okay, this was covered by Sherry on some of these other requests. So now we're going to take this money, we're going to put it back out there because we're not going to double dip on the money. In other words, if that makes any sense to you. Moving down to like item 4, the NAT data software maintenance contract. That was approved for $3,835. Those funds have not been, there again, they were paid on the request for fund number 10 down there. I apologize. All right, so once again, so we don't double dip, we're going to take that money, we're going to say we're not double dipping, we're putting it back out there to reobligate. Bill pay, item 5 there, the request was for $10,000. What was actually expended was $9,594.85, leaving $405.15 to reobligate to other activities. I'm not going to go through each of these. I think the rest of it's kind of pretty much explanatory. But if you will look at the second page, you see the ARPA allocation there. You see the total request. Once again, we knew those requests exceeded the allocation, but we also knew that money was over there that was going to be reallocated. So what it amounts to when it all boils down at this point in time, if you take the money that we have acknowledged on here as being reallocated, you have $79,558.91 that remains in the ARPA program that is not allocated to an activity. If you look at some of this, some of these funds have not been expended. It could be that we'll come back to y'all in a couple of more months and say, okay, we need to update you, give you a little more information on some of this. But that's where we stand as of today.
So I'm gonna go ahead and ask a question. I hate to keep asking these questions, but if I don't ask a question, I won't know. So out of the original $2.6 million, everything spent the 79,000 and are obligated to be spent.
Yes, sir. It's either spent or obligated.
So right now we have a total of 79,558 available to request to be obligated.
Yes, sir. And Sherry and I, we went over as it pertained to the bill pay. Once again, quite a bit of the funds were that. She and I think we're in agreement on each of these lines. Screen, I keep thinking I'm standing in front of somebody.
Anybody have any questions?
Good job.
Yes, it did.
Nobody have anything. All right, I need a motion to,
Just a review.
okay. Well, I'll make a motion to accept the review.
All right.
All
I
right.
don't like that review. I want more money.
All right, now with that, with Mark here, I'm gonna jump down to number 14. And that's the approved expenditure of ARPA funds not to exceed 79,000 for the purchase and renovation of, building for criminal district attorney's office. All right, what we're proposing is, buying the old pharmacy building over here, and renovating it the old Newton Pharmacy building and renovate it, for a permanent district attorney's office and for it not to exceed the total cost of $165,000. And, well, wait a minute, let me see, that's,
Yeah, that's number
This-
13.
okay, well, we need to, approve the ARPA funds.
So we saving the $558 for hard times.
Yeah. I'm
Come
gonna,
on, Philip.
I'm gonna use that for myself. Tomorrow.
I mean, why are we leaving it in there? That's what I'm saying. It wouldn't be to our advantage to go ahead and just,
They're gonna donate that precinct one.
I mean, but it-
paperwork, I mean, additional transactions for.
Back on some of the other stuff.
Yeah, Commissioner, we'll have to come back with some of that other. Once again, I provided you an
We
update
still
as
have money pending on.
of today.
Okay,
So let's talk about that
we
coming
need a
back.
contingency fund.
there we do.
So let's talk about that coming back.
Okay.
So if we come back because we got extra money, that's a great thing. But is there the potential for us to come back because someone in one of those buckets of obligations has overspent their obligated? So that they can,
Payroll is.
Okay, okay,
Everything's closed, everything is.
okay. So we don't have a PO system.
You don't.
So can you assure the court that somebody can't overspend their ARPA obligation?
Based on how we tracked it, yes, because we did the bill pay and the payroll,
They have to have approval.
they had to have approval.
Okay.
And if y'all will, and once again, I don't mean to take y'all's time, but kind of to follow up on that, if you will look here, I think the first one is item 6 on this page. But well, I can't talk today.
And then they,
Yeah, that's it. The software update. Y'all approved $34,965. None of those funds have been expended as of today. I
the
don't,
work has not been done.
But it will be, I think that is something that will be done, right? Once they bring the,
Is Shannon on? Shannon? We haven't done that.
Yes,
he said yes.
Shannon, on the net data, we still are going forward with that, correct?
yes, and they were supposed to reach out to the new, to the new judge as of March or so. Is what the last email I had got from them on that. So, Mr. Ronnie, did they reach out to your office?
They have not yet, as of yet.
Okay, I can try. I know Miss Ginger and I had talked about it a few times. I'll reach out to them and check on the status of it.
Okay. Thanks, Shannon.
Yes, sir.
so once again, using that as an example, if it comes out to that exact dollar amount, then it's gonna zero out. If it's less than that, that's actually expended, then if it's $10 less, that's $10 that can be reallocated and added back to the ARPA fund.
But it can't be overspent.
It's not supposed to be, I mean, we had a contract with them. Am I right, Shannon, by saying that? There was a contract put in place? There was, what, 2 or 3 different quotes that they gave you? And the commissioners court voted on this.
I believe that's correct. Can you rephrase the whole thing though? So I'm sure I get that right.
Well, my question was ARPA in general, not the IT, the net data. I mean, what I'm hearing is we're not gonna be surprised by we overspent the ARPA,
Because when we paid it right then, we had already paid in ARPA.
like a good PO system should work.
And if you look at most of these line items that y'all approved, the funds have been not only obligated, but expended at this point in time, and it either came out to the dollar or there's money left over to reobligate.
We always overshot.
Yeah, it was over.
All that goes to board.
All right, I need a motion to approve the expenditure of ARPA funds.
I'll make that motion.
Motion's made,
14, is that number?
yeah, number 14. Motion made by Commissioner White.
So Judge, can I ask,
Okay,
Because we're moving, we're jumping around,
Yeah.
jumping around.
I did that because Mark was.
Yeah, that's fine. But, I mean, so I understand what we're voting on here, or where we're going with all of this, because I look at the line item in front of it, and it says, something about the same building.
Yes.
We need to go vote on 13 before we vote on 14. I'm not trying to be out of order, but I'm just saying, we need to vote on 13 before we agree. So you guys vote on 13.
All right, we'll go to number 13.
Hey, and there's nothing wrong with,
Yeah.
with, the right type of assistance.
There. Hey, discuss it, item number 13, discuss and consider action to purchase and renovate not to exceed $165,000, the family pharmacy building located at 104 West Court Street in Newton for the criminal district attorney's office. And, it would get it's not to exceed $165,000, 79,000 of the ARPA funds. Sherry,
So we have 50,000, it's in distribution, and it's basically not the same as ARPA. We have more leniency. And it's the LATCF fund, something tribal fund. It's a grant that they gave us, and we're actually gonna get 50,000 again this year in 2023. This, we received it in 2022. So we're gonna take that 50,000. We have 50,000 in the building fund, that we have budgeted for this year. And then we have 79,000 that we're wanting to get approved from ARPA, which would leave a remaining balance of 14,000 that we're not gonna utilize as far as spending it will stay in the general fund. That's where the resource, the money.
and basically what we're unsure of is how much it's gonna cost to connect the fiber optic and everything, set up the district attorney's office to the network. And that's kind of why we're leaving the little balance there, because we're unsure of the cost on it.
So judges,
$554, no,
About 94 to be exact.
94 cents.
so judge, is your vision to leave the
Yeah,
district
that's
attorney's?
gonna be the permanent office. They're okay with moving the district attorney's office over to that bill. Okay, the, where the DA's office is now, they're gonna gotta come in, we've gotta clear the first floor of the courthouse. And they're saying 6 months to a year, 6 to 9 months. But realistically, we're looking at probably 6 months to a year and a half, vacating the first floor. Okay, the load bearing weight of the files in the district clerk's office is creating floor sag problem. So we can take some of it's gonna cost $3 to $5 million to sturdy the floors up in probably 4 years of demolition where they come out, tear the floors out and, sturdy the floors up where to hold the file, what weight of the file. So if we take those files, move them downstairs in part of the district attorney's office, bring the auditor's office, once the first floor is finished, bring the auditor's office back over. And if the treasurer's office, if they want to come back, bring them back in the courthouse. And then we'll work on but in the meantime, second floor is going to have to move down. Once the first floor is phase 1, first floor, and then they're going to work on second and third floor, finish the building out. So we're looking at first floor of the courthouse, being out of the courthouse for a year and a half. So.
But the end goal is to get the auditor's office, the treasurer's office, district clerk's office. What other offices are we gonna have everybody back in the courthouse with the exception of the DA? Is that the end goal?
That's the end goal. Now, where the auditor's office is currently, I would like to take that office and put the agriculture, the AgriLife Extension office in that building. And eventually I'd like to move everybody out of the old hospital building. Find a place for them.
We'll put old Mike over there.
Mike's on his own. He can go where he wants to.
But I'm going to get back on Southern. So you say we got 50,000 already we didn't use last year.
We have 50,000 that is with LATCF that's in distribution. It's not been moved over to the general fund.
So it wasn't budgeted. Was it?
It's not been used.
It's not budgeted though. It's not allocated for nothing.
No, we would have to do a budget amendment to the building fund that we have 50,000 in that we did budget. And then we also have the 79,000, which we won't budget all of that. We'll just budget the 65,000 out of the 79,000.
We got 50 left over from last year. If we'll take the 50 we're gonna need this year.
We're gonna use 50,000 that's already budgeted under the, county.
Building fund.
Yes, the, 500 purchase of land and building. We're gonna take that 50,000 and we're gonna add the 96,000.
Last year.
And
Roll
then, yes, and then 65,000 out of those.
We had money left over last year.
Well, we had it in the, yeah, if you don't look at distribution.
This makes no sense.
Just doing it on live video.
They know me.
Anyway, 165,000 is secured without having to.
Do it anyway. We're not gonna come up.
It's not coming out of any of our general fund. We know exactly what we have.
We're not spending 165,000 for a year-long or 2-year-long project. We're talking about spending
One-time thing.
165 to 250,000 for a new change in the district attorneys. Well, I'll make the motion to approve line item 13, not to exceed 165,000.
Okay. Motion been made by Commissioner Powell.
I second if we don't. Coming out of, we already have money appropriated.
I appreciate you saying that. So I made that motion with a firm understanding that we are not using money that's already allocated in
No,
2020.
50,000 that is budgeted out of 500. We're gonna use the 79,000 from the ARPA money that we're gonna roll over, and the remaining money will come out of the 50,000 that we have from the LATCF grant money.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you this question with a yes, no answer.
Okay,
Are we using any money in the 165,000 that is allocated for something other than a building fund?
no.
Thank you.
I got one more question for y'all vote. Powell Hotel, when? Did that have to do anything with it?
No, sir,
All right,
nothing.
so them windows are not complete.
Has nothing to do with it.
Got the glass today. Picked up glass today.
Okay, I mean, I'm just, 50,000 building fund, I wanna make sure. it's
Yeah.
here
No,
now.
no, this is to buy, purchase of land and building,
Okay.
010510500. Under county property.
Okay, it was motion by Commissioner Powell. Did we get a second? Second by Commissioner White. All in favor? All against? So this motion is passed.
Up to number
14.
10.
Well, we'll go ahead and finish 14 on this one. Approve expenditure of ARPA funds not to exceed 79,000 for the purchase and renovation of criminal district attorney's office.
Make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner White,
Go ahead. I second.
second by Commissioner Benson. All right, all in favor? All against? All right, we'll go back to number 10. Authorize and advertise for Commissioner of Precinct 4, purchase a vehicle. Now, he's asking for a King Ranch 4-door dually. No. I'm joking.
Get them before.
Actually, what, you're looking for a half ton?
Four-wheeler.
So a little background. So last year, in the previous years, Commissioner Precinct Four's got a $21,000 truck allowance, as the sheriff does now. So that was taken away in the 2023 budget. Currently, I'm using my own vehicle, supplying my own fuel. And if the court chooses not to supply the Commissioner of Precinct Four with the vehicle, I'll continue to do that. But that's up to you folks. I can tell you before you vote, I'm abstaining from the vote. Whatever you guys decide, I'm good with. I don't know if that's even legal, but I did.
By me.
And I will say this, precinct 4 is somewhat different. Every precinct's got their challenges. We are low. We got a lot of soft roads. Can't take a big truck. I know that I talked with some of the commissioners, not in any type of group setting or anything, but one of the commissioners told me that they bought these big trucks that have arched a lot of eyebrows about why did y'all need those big old trucks? And they bought those trucks with the notion of when we get those trucks to the point to where our crew needs them, it's a good crew truck that we can pass on. That makes really good sense. It makes, but where I'm at, I can't turn that around on my roads, and I'll be buried to the axle on them. So what would work would be a half-ton four-wheel drive truck, just a work truck.
Well, since he's abstaining, I'll make the motion to purchase the vehicle for precinct 4.
That's it. All right.
All right. I've made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Benson. All in favor? Aye. All against?
And with that being said, the payment of the truck would come out of Road and Bridge General, correct?
That's your division. No. You said the payment wouldn't be due till 2024, right? Okay. So it'd come out of Road and Bridge.
General, okay,
All right.
And I abstained from the vote.
yes.
Okay.
All right, item number 11 is discuss and if appropriate, approve sale of auction item, which is lot number 204. It's a 2010 Ford F-150. It's not running, and they had a final bid price of $2,050. That's right.
As most of us know, we just finished an online auction bid for excess and unused equipment throughout our county. And this truck was involved in it, and everything sold, all items sold except for 2. And this happened to be one of them. And it was down here at the old prison, and I moved it back up to my yard, but it's in the way and it's junk, and I want the court's approval to sell it to someone, whoever's interested, for that final auction bid.
So how does that work, just from my knowledge? I mean, how do you make sure that it's done fairly when you put that, if we agree to do the 2050, because I got some equipment I need to do the same thing with. If we say, yeah, you can sell it for 2050, the first person that walks up there, can you sell it to them, or do you have to go? I guess I'm looking at the wrong. How does that work, Courtney? If we,
I think that, just, I would think that it would need to be put up and re-advertised to send out.
so you just
on it.
put that price in there?
You can maybe put that as the minimum bid on it.
Okay.
And advertise it, the same as just selling it, starting all over again on it.
Put it in the local newspaper, you're saying?
You
Good.
run it,
Advertise it.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, it need to go.
You said you have some stuff up that you need to advertise as well?
Yeah, it'd be we'll do that later. But I'll just piggyback that process or copycat it later on.
Okay, I need a motion.
I'll make that motion, Judge.
All right, motion by Commissioner Powell, second by Commissioner Benson. All in favor? All against? Okay, and item number 12 is discuss and consider action to create a full-time IT position for Newton County. Now, in the budget, Newton County has $168,000 for IT, and it will be funded out of what's already in the budget. It's not be adding anything to the budget.
I guess you would have a workshop on that table, have a workshop.
If y'all want to, I can table, we can have a workshop on it.
Let me ask a question on that. So I like the idea of a workshop about the whole thing there, you know, the IT department, what have you, but yeah, I agree.
What do you think, Mr. White?
Yeah, well, we all need to know the details. I mean, the way it's listed on the agenda here, it don't say a whole lot about what the hours or what the contract, or it just say discuss the full-time position. So we probably be good, everything that we.
Question for Courtney, I guess, is if we approve this line item as it's written, if we make a motion to approve the line item with the understanding that that job and that salary and those hours will be discussed and agreed to in a workshop, could it save us some time? Basically, we're saying, yeah, we're gonna make an IT person and we'll figure out what that looks like in a workshop. Could we draft the motion be that way we don't have to go spend some time in a workshop and then come back and say, now we need to make a motion to hire?
I think that would be good procedurally.
Okay.
Details of the job description and salary to be determined, but at least creating the position for it.
Okay, you ready, County Clerk? I make the motion that we create a full-time IT position for Newton County with the details of salary, hours, department overlay to be discussed in a workshop in the very near future.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Powell, second by Commissioner White. All in favor? All against? All right. All right. Now this is, all right, we did 13, we did 14. All right, we're down to item number 15. And, this is authorized to advertise to lease metal building located in Newton County Enterprise Facility on 2402 Court Street in Newton. And this is basically the old women's dorm at the prison. And talking to Courtney, the food bank is interested in the building, but to legally do it, we have to advertise it for bids, for lease. So I'm gonna open it up for discussion.
Could you clarify what building that is for anybody that doesn't know exactly what you're talking about?
Okay, when you pull into the prison, it's metal building to the right side of the prison. It's what they basically use as old women's dormitory. And I'm not sure what size building it is, but it's a pretty big metal building on the right side of the prison or the correctional center grounds.
So
The one was going, but be it on to,
Yes.
So question, Courtney. I mean, if we better be very careful on this. So we can't draft it to where we can consider leasing the building to be used for the following purposes and list those purposes to fit what we want it to be used for.
What I told the judge was that if you're gonna lease out county property, everybody needs to have a chance to bid on it if they're interested in it. But when you come down to selecting which bid you're gonna go with, if you're not gonna go with the highest, if you can give a good justifiable reason of why this person at this bid benefits the county the most and the citizens the most, and you can go with that. But my example was, if you're gonna, lease it to the food bank, but there's another nonprofit out there like, the American Cancer Society or somebody who may also would like the opportunity to lease it. So you have to open it up to anybody. But I guess your question is, can you limit it to nonprofits?
That's my
And
question.
I don't believe you can. I think you open it up, and then,
But, we can use the grounds as a food bank, as a benefit to the citizens of Newton County. They do help a bunch of people. So, and I think we could use that, as far as choice, when we make a decision.
Like that hay field, we didn't take the highest bid. We took the bid that said it was fertilized field.
Yeah.
But it's more profitable.
So someone couldn't say, I'm gonna give you $50,000 a year to open up an ATV repair shop out there.
if they did, we should take it.
No, I'm serious. I mean, our intent is something totally different than that.
Right, but if somebody were to offer that, then we should take that. I think, but otherwise, I mean, nobody else may bid on it, but everybody needs a chance. And then you can pick what, would be the best fit for serving the people and preserving the facilities and things like that. And the terms of the actual lease could be negotiated too. I think somebody's bid could say, I'll lease it out for this amount, for this long or whatever. I think the terms of it could be kind of negotiated later too.
I'm thinking a 25 or 30-year lease for minimal charge. Heck, I'll even pay it for the food bank.
I guess the dilemma here, hearing is that you can't really dictate,
No, I can't really dictate,
whether or not they're gonna get it.
whether they don't.
Gets it, a good lease agreement could be worked out with them, whether it be them or whoever submits a bid that seems reasonable and in the best interest of the county.
In the best interest of the county, which would be the food.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So hospital just. I make that motion.
All right, motion's made by Commissioner Benson.
What's the motion gonna say? What should we say here? Just it's like the line item reads?
Each metal building. Put it out for advertising.
Got an understanding of what it's about. I'll second it.
All right. Seconded by Commissioner White. All in favor? All against? Motion's passed.
Time for lunch break.
Okay, item number 16 is accept donation of $25,000 from Sabine River County Authority for Newton County Floodplain Administration. That's $25,000 that the Sabine River Authority gives the county every year to help with floodplain administration. So
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
motion made by Commissioner Powell, seconded by Commissioner White. All in favor? All against? All right. All right, discuss and if appropriate, approve budget amendment to move 5,000 out of line item 010-385-117 to 010-544-103 for floodplain administration. And we'll take 5,000 of that money for helping. There's another line item coming to help and pay for salary for floodplain administrator.
That's 5,000 out of the SRA.
Yes.
What is that, oh, one?
It's 16 and 17. Kind of lumped them together.
What is that from? It's not coming out of nutrition center or
No,
nothing
I don't
like
know
that.
where that even came
Well,
from.
well,
I know you came to my office yesterday.
I
when they were
want to
doing
know what that item.
That's coming from, we received SRA money, 25,000 a year to help with the floodplain administration. Well, last year when they took the revenue in, they put the 25,000 budgeted in the contingency. Well, it's supposed to have went to the floodplain line item, and it didn't. So we have to pull that out of the contingency line item and move it. But right now, all he's asking to move out of that line item is $5,000. Correct, Judge?
Yes, 5,000.
So I don't know how the nutrition, I know you came to my office yesterday and said something about the nutrition, but that's not,
so-
it's fake news.
Wait a minute, the line item reads accept a donation,
Yes.
and you're saying move money, so we're not,
Every year, SRA, we have a contract or something with them that they donate 20.
I know all that, but when was this money?
He just received the check.
Okay, so,
He just received.
I
the
just
check.
received a check. I gave it to Ginger Monday.
okay.
So that's what he's wanting to do.
I get the question. Okay. Yeah, it's been received and we just approved receiving it.
Right.
As a court, as
You
new.
approve receiving, I want 5,000.
So it's coming out of it.
Yeah, coming out of 25.
$25,000 there. It should have gone through the line item for floodplain. And that's what the check reads, is for floodplain administration. Yes. Yes. That's where it was. Yes, that's,
I think that's what they were asking.
yeah.
How it got put in here.
Because it was budgeted from last year as revenue, and it's really.
All right, I make that motion.
All right, motion's made by Commissioner Light.
I second.
Second by Commissioner Benson. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? All right, item number 18 is approved resolution for Violence Against Women Act Special Prosecutor Project Grant. Courtney?
Yes, this is a continuing grant that is about 13 years old. It supplements the salary of the assistant VA. And the resolution states that we believe that violence against women is an important issue that needs to be addressed. And so they help supplement the salary. The county has, I think, a 30% match that's already in our budget. We budget more than that in case we don't receive the full amount. And so this applied for the grant again, and it requires a resolution. So that's what that resolution is for. But we believe and know that violence against women is an important problem that we need to have assistant DA that'll help address that. He helps with protective orders and any issues that deal with violence against women.
I make that motion.
13th year that we've had it.
Okay, motion is made by Commissioner Benson.
Second.
Second by Commissioner White. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? All right, now 19, 20, and 21, we're gonna table these because Ginger is unable to be here. So this was, appoint county treasurer's investment op. She's been doing this for many years and it was just reappointing. So we're gonna table this to the next Commissioners Court meeting. So item number 22. All right, discuss and if appropriate, approve payment from general fund to TDM for recoupment of funds for project DR 4266-003. Ms. Crystal.
So this was an overpayment that we received on our Deweyville generator projects. The initial amount, the federal share that was awarded was supposed to be $46,961.96. The actual amount that we received on this was $48,000 $218.21 for a difference of $1,265.25 that we have to repay. Any more questions on that or?
But where did the money originally come from? Did it come out of the general fund or precinct 4? Was it a match by precinct 4?
On this one, let me make sure. I don't think there was a match on this one.
Oh, there wasn't a match?
I don't believe there was on this. So this was this was a grant we received from FEMA. There was not a match on it. We
Okay.
just received this full entire amount, and that's when we're having to repay this.
So this is something we don't have a choice on, right? So is this what that contingency?
$500. Ain't quite enough to cover.
And that 94 cents.
It's the repayment.
We have no choice.
I make the motion to approve payment from the general fund to TDM.
Motion made by Commissioner Powell. Second by Commissioner Benson. All in favor?
Aye.
All approve? I mean, all against? It's approved. Number
20 and 21, I don't think we had a motion and a second and a vote to table those.
Oh, no, we did not. Thank you. On 19, 20, and 21, I need a motion to table these.
Make a motion, we, table item number 19, 20, and 21 until the next court.
Yes. Second. All right. Motion made by Commissioner White, second by Commissioner Benson. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Thank you. All right. All right. Item number 23 is discuss and if appropriate, approve to execute a resolution for body cam grant number 4265801. Sheriff's Department.
So this is a grant that we're working on for the Sheriff's Department. And what happens with these resolutions, if there is an authorized official on the original resolution and that official is named, say, for example, Kenneth Weeks was an authorized official and he was named, instead of just using county judge, they named him. With Kenneth Weeks not being an authorized official anymore, we have to put in a new name for the authorized official. So this is actually something we are required to do. We're required to have a revised resolution, and that's what I'm asking the court to do today, is to approve this so that we can continue with the submission that we need to in order to try to obtain this grant for the Sheriff's Department. The initial resolution was already approved in Commissioner's Court before, so this is just going to be a revision.
So we have to put a name on, we can't just go with Newton County Judge.
Moving forward, we probably can with different grants and new resolutions, but right now, because he was named, I'm being told by the governor's office that we have to name another authorized official.
Which will be.
Which will be Judge Cochran for now. And then, like I said, in the future, we can go forward with just naming county judge and having the county judge sign along with the others.
This is resolution here, right? 4394301.
Yeah, yes, you have it in your packet. And that's another thing on these resolutions. We are supposed to name the grant numbers and it wasn't named initially. So I've gone in and I've named the grant number on here for that purpose. If we don't, then they're going to kick it back and you'll be seeing me here again.
Okay, so 23 and 24.
It's the same thing. It's
Same thing, different grant numbers.
Yes, sir. That's correct. And this one is not one, they're not requesting a resolution on it right now on the next agenda item. If you wanted to address that with this, I will.
Okay, go ahead and number 24 is worded the same, discuss and if appropriate, approve to execute a resolution for body cam grant number 439-4301.
Yes, and this is the same thing. We're just needing an updated resolution for this. They're not requesting this at this point, but they're going to before our next commissioners court. So I'm trying to head it off at the pass. I'm asking the court to go ahead and approve this today so that I don't have to delay or ask for an extension on this grant.
Make that motion, we approve to execute the resolution for body cams on grant number 4265801 and grant number 4394301.
Motion made by Commissioner White,
I second.
second by Commissioner Benson. All approved?
Aye.
All against? Okay. Moving down to item number 25. Discuss and if appropriate, approve to add another assistant to the county judge's office funded from 010-510-109. Basically, what I want to do is, the two maintenance guys resign. So basically, I want to take one of the maintenance positions and move that line from maintenance to the judge's office without increasing the budget, but just, extending, help with floodplain. Part of the $5,000 will be going toward the salary to help with paying the salary. So I'm asking for, we really didn't need the court approval, but I wanted everybody to know what I'm doing. I'm not creating a position. I'm just taking a position that was already there and just moving it into the judge's office.
I got a question. So this position, this is a second assistant for the county judge. There was two assistants last year, the year before. When was there not two assistants in the county judge's office?
Which one was it?
So it's been 5 or 6 years at least. I think to me, I'm just speaking my mind. There was a time to where commissioners didn't have assistants. And technology and grants and everything in the world has drove the commissioners to feel like they need assistance. And I think if there's been a need for two assistants in the county judge's office in the last 6 years, there's still that need, especially with a new judge. So I'm going to make the motion to approve the line item to create a second position in the county judge's office for an assistant.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Powell.
So you gonna move the line item to another line? All right.
Yes.
So we move the line item.
And he's moving the money from one to another.
From maintenance, it's still in the same department. Just
Going to the judge's general fund.
But just moving it from maintenance to the judge's office.
It just wasn't worded that way. That's why I want to make clarification.
Okay.
I second.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Powell, second by
Before we go on, so there's a lot of discussion about, we're creating all these new jobs. So at some point, I'm gonna ask the judge, put some sort of table out there, show what the budget was last year, real clear, where the general public can understand it. What was the payroll budget for these different payroll groups like 10 and 50 and different things last year versus this year? So we can compare apples to apples and everybody has a clear understanding.
I can do that.
Thank you.
And I think it was seconded by Commissioner Benson. All in favor? All against? Motion passed. All right, item number 26. Discuss and if appropriate, extend the Hurricane Laura disaster declaration until March 14th, 2023.
Make that motion.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Well, a motion made by Commissioner White, second by Commissioner Benson. All right, and I'm not sure if we need the COVID declaration anymore.
Yeah.
Do we? Okay. Discussing if appropriate, extend the COVID-19 the disaster declaration until March 14th, 2023.
I make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Benson.
Second.
Second by Commissioner White. All in favor? All against? Motion's passed. Item number 28, budget amendments. Sherry,
Budget amendment.
no budget amendments. All right, item number 29, what we've all been waiting on. Payment of the bills.
Okay, and I just want to make note too, that all these bills have been pre-approved by the department heads. Let's go into finalize for the commissioners all to one last final approval, but they have all been approved from the department heads when they're turned into our office.
So out of the bills you have there that we're gonna approve today, how many of those bills come from 2022?
30 invoices.
Do you have a monetary amount on those 30 invoices off the top of your head?
But I think I can add them up for you and give you that this afternoon.
So I'm gonna just make a statement. Here we are, the last time we did a bill pay, we kind of got sidetracked because this is the point I was trying to make. It's very hard for anybody in this county to know exactly how much money we have because we don't have a PO system. So we're spending,
System is.
but we have a lot of people with checkbooks and they're out there writing checks. Nobody's balancing the checkbooks until we pay the bills. So nobody but you.
We
had one, 190,000.
Right. But I'm just making a point. There's 30 bills from 2022. Last Commissioner's Court, there were several thousands of dollars from 2022. So maybe next year at some point, we got to get a PO system to where.
I totally agree. General fund, $104,551.56. Road and Bridge General, $967.47. Road and Bridge Precinct 3, $43,421.22. Commissioner Special Precinct 1, $12,927.38. Commissioner Special Precinct 2, $17,774.95. Commissioner Special Precinct 3, $11,267.07. Commissioner Special Precinct 4, $9,333.11. Record Preservation, $395. Solid Waste Disposal, $2,436.66. Newton County Library, $764.10. Historical Operating, $346.82. FEMA grants, $145,107.95. Grants, $96.66. Technology Fund, $291.36, for a total of all funds, $349,681.31.
So Sherry, in our last bill pay, we met after court and we talked about potentially doing audits on some of this stuff, because when we looked at those general funds, there were some charges on debit cards to local businesses for $19 and $20. And when you said all departments, the heads have verified these. So I guess what I'm saying is, we're not just sitting up here arbitrarily approving bills, right? We've got an auditing system in place.
Yes.
You're going out to these departments.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Yeah. Right now, I'm shorthanded in my office, but I will, as soon as we get the other position filled, I will be going out to the offices and I will be auditing, and I may hit your office twice a month, but I will be going out to the field offices. But if they're, just like the other day, yesterday, I got the credit card bill in. I had some problems with one of the department heads' charges on the credit card. I called them up. They basically explained to me why they had these charges. And it was, but we check every charge that comes through. His was that he had to send a guy out to training. He wasn't able to get the per diem in, so the guy had to use the card because he had to be gone for 4 weeks. So, and it was actually $400 cheaper than if he would have got the per diem. But I called him up immediately once I got the credit card.
But when you look at this report, if you're the general public and you don't have what you just said, and we're not sharing in these meetings, and on that camera, we see somebody spending $30 and $40 at Taco Bell on a county Debbie,
That was one of my questions. Yes, sir.
okay. So you're following up on
Yes.
that.
Yes, I am.
We're signing this based on that assurance.
Yes.
So I guess we need we've all signed off on it. Need a motion to approve the bill.
I'll make a motion to approve the bill, or pay the bill.
Motion made by Mr. White,
Go ahead.
Based on what county auditors told me, I make the motion, second the motion.
second by Commissioner Powell. So I think we can adjourn the meeting.
Make that motion.
I second that motion.
All right.
You didn't have to wait.
All in favor?
There is. But, that,
Right, we need, and I'll-
not you. Supposed to sign that.
No, it's not.